Good evening and welcome back to yet another video. Today we're going to just steer away a little bit from tech suits and take a look at some training aids from the brand Finis. After my last Finis video, I was fortunate enough to get another batch of training equipment over, and I've selected a few that I've really enjoyed using that I want to share with you, and we should take a small look at them products. The first of these products fits in the palm of your hand. It's this tiny little circular disc right here that Finis have labelled the Tempo Trainer Pro. And while it might not look like much, this really is a fabulous little device. It's quite simple in its use. It can either clip onto your goggle strap if you don't wear a hat, or you can just pop it under your hat, onto your ear, and it does just one thing, it beeps. That's the beauty of it. It has two real modes of operation. The first I've not really used that much, but you can actually set a cycle on it. So if you were say doing a set of 10 100s off 1 minute 15, it could beep every 1 minute 15. But the method I have used it for is so much more productive, I think, and really makes this an essential piece of equipment for any swimmer or coach to have in their arsenal. And that's to set it with different stroke rates. So the amount of time as a coach I say something along the lines of get your stroke rate up or keep things longer, don't have to rush, don't have to spin. For some people they can take that small verbal direction and turn it instantly into what you were looking for in terms of their stroke rate, and they have the body awareness to do that. But some swimmers, they struggle a little bit more to identify their stroke rate or to understand exactly how fast you want their arms moving or how slow you want their arms moving. This does just that. So say you have a swimmer who's been racing 50 backstrokes at something low like 38 strokes a minute, and you've worked it out and you've said like you want to get it higher, but it doesn't matter what you say, they can't do that. You can set this at say 45 or even higher, 50, 55 strokes a minute, and then they gain that audible cue of exactly when they have to be putting their hands in. It works, it really does work, and we've tried it, and swimmers have dropped considerable time. Like I've had kids do PBs in training from actually just finally gaining that understanding of what we mean by get your stroke rate up. I just don't think you can, anything else quite does that. And in the same vein, some people when they race 50 meter sprints, be it freestyle or breaststroke, they sometimes try too hard. They're throwing their arms forwards too much on breaststroke, not finish off their kick. Freestyle, they're just spinning their arms like they're swimming downhill, not catching anything. You can use this to put a slower stroke rate in so that they know they're not have to be rushing that much, and they're still getting a fast stroke rate, but they're not just losing any feel and catch of the water. This device retails for about 30 British pounds, 45 US dollars. I don't think you can go wrong with it. If you're a coach, I think depending on the sort of group you're working on, I think more elite groups generally will have one of these each, especially breaststrokers and backstrokers. But if you're sort of working with an age group program like I am, I think it's quite nice to have one or two of these sort of at your disposal. And when you feel like someone might need to sort of just tweak something or get a better understanding of their stroke rate leading up to a certain race, and other differences between maybe like backstroke and breaststroke, where the stroke rate on a 50 is so diverse to maybe what you'd use on a 200, I think it's great to be able to give that audible cue to a swimmer. So Ethan's backstroke has always struggled a little bit in terms of stroke rate. So last night we was doing a 50 max set. What was your fastest time up until then?
My time was 33.1.
Which is not too bad. I think that's just off his PB. So we put the stroke rate on there at 60 strokes a minute. And how did you find that?
My time immediately dropped 1.4 seconds down to 31.7.
And that's a new PB, right?
Yeah.
How have you found using the Tempo Trainer, Liv?
I found it very useful for my pacing, especially in the when we're doing sprints, so that I don't over rev.
Okay. So what strokes have you been using it on?
Breaststroke. We have used it for 200s and 100s, but mainly for sprinting.
Talking of audible cues, and the next product I have here, the Finis Tech Toc, is another one of those, and it has both physical and audible cues to help gain a rotation in your swimming stroke. A lot of freestyle and backstrokers is they don't use their hips to their advantage, and if you're swimming hip-driven freestyle, the power you can generate from your hip is absolutely massive. And if you don't use that, you really are losing a lot of drive, a lot of reach, and a lot of extension on your stroke. And the same on backstroke. If you want to be a great backstroker, well then you really should be pivoting from side to side. Again, all generated from your hips and letting your legs and shoulders follow that rotation. It's easy just to say, rotate more, but it's much better to be able to give a product, shows and helps and aids them in that quest, and also slows them down a little bit and actually gives them a obvious focus point when they're swimming whatever distances they're doing. If you're using it for freestyle and backstroke, this tube here will sit horizontally across your back, and it has a ball bearing inside that falls from side to side. So you can feel that ball bearing shift, which helps actually physically move, but you can also hear it. So if you don't hear it move, then you know you've got to rotate a little bit more. Also, everyone else in the pool will find it quite annoying because they know exactly how much you're rotating, and it is quite noisy and annoying for other swimmers. I must admit, I've been on the receiving end of someone using this and me not, and yeah, for longer sets it does grate on you a little bit. And there's actually two settings. You have a delay on and off. So if you have the delay off, by twisting it around, then the ball bearing moves very smoothly, and that's more for someone who's getting the hang of it. But if they really are, you're having to force and exaggerate a movement, then you can put the delay on. It's a little bit slower to move. My only drawback with it, I would say, is I think sometimes it moves, even with the delay, it moves a little too easily. But other than that, I think it's one of the products that does what you want it to do, and not everyone needs to use it. It's not something I get out every day, but certain swimmers identify that they have a certain issue with rotation, and I think it's great to get out and really help drive home that point you're getting at. The cost of this is about 30 to 35 pounds again. We've used the Toc a little bit now. How do you find using it?
It makes rotation a lot easier when swimming, and it's a lot easier to simplify with. It feels weird and smooth now because you've got to like focus on rotating more than actually like putting yourself in the water quickly.
Okay, and how did you use it on fly?
So get your hips moving more and like to get the climbing right.
Moving away from technical aids, and here we have a piece of resistance, the Finis Drag+Fly. And I really hope they have named it this to have a bit of a play on words and make you call it the Dragonfly. But who knows, maybe I'm just reading into it. It is a parachute, and it is quite expensive for parachutes as well, at about 80 British pounds. It's a little bit more advanced, a little bit more sophisticated than your usual parachute you may use. And that's through a few nifty features. The first one of these features is the sort of main selling point of such a product, and that is the adjustable resistance that it has. So either side of the parachute, we have these zips that you can put at any of these sort of notches that they've put down for different settings. The more it opens up, the less resistance you have. So on this setting 1 here, you're not going to have that much resistance. And if you were to zip it all the way down, it almost creates a bucket you're dragging with just a small hole at the end inside, and it's going to pull a lot of water and give you quite a workout. Another nifty feature is on this sort of tow cable, it has a small buoy on it, or as you Americans call it, a buoy. And what that does, it just helps lift this line as close to the surface. So if you've used some more standard parachutes that don't have such an attachment, you find that this cord sometimes tangles with your legs or knocks around at your hips, and this just helps it sit a little higher and keep this cord out your way so you can really focus on a proper kick and not have any tangles. Lastly, you have a Velcro strap. It's very simple, it wraps around your waist and it's really quick to put on, it's really quick to remove, and that's great if you was going for maybe a set where you're using a parachute and then you're taking a parachute off. It's not going to be like you need an extra 2 minutes to sort of re-sort yourself out. Parachutes are great, there's a lot of cool things you can do with them. I'm personally sitting in a camp of just using resistance like this to generate some power and do some short sprints, some 25s, maybe even throw some fins and paddles on to really get some speed going on. The resistance a parachute has in comparison to some other products that do similar things, such as a bungee cord or some drag socks, is it's more of a consistent resistance that works your full body. I say that because from the moment you push off and the parachute sort of inflates to the moment you finish on the wall, the resistance is the same. Whereas if you use a bungee, the resistance will start off very light, and then the further you get away from the anchoring point, the more resistance it's going to start to provide. And then you have a product such as drag socks, which are very, very specific, so you put them on your feet and they're going to make you kick harder should you want a nice body alignment. Again, you can target certain things with this. So if you wanted to target your legs or your kick, you could use a kickboard with the parachute and work on some kick under resistance, or you could put a band around your ankles and some paddles on, and you can do pull under resistance. So again, it's a very diverse in its operations, much more diverse in my opinion than something like a drag sock. Okay, we've got Henry and Pablo here. They've been using the Dragonfly parachute a bit more recently. How have you found using it, boys?
I think the parachute I would think is better than, say for example, like drag socks. Just in the sense that you can actually like move your legs, actually kick, actually like feel yourself going forward rather than just being stuck in a place sort of. I don't know.
Okay, and Henry, do you prefer doing like sprint sets?
Doing short rest and a bit of sprinting.
And Pablo, how do you find your body position when you use it? Like, do you think it affects your body position or?
No, not really.
What about the adjustable settings? Do you use the settings or do you just...
Depending on what we're doing. You say if we're just like making cycle, then we have it on the highest setting. But then if we were like doing